This week on Rockstar Superhero. Maria Lessing, the singer from the lush and lovely Future Palace, was my guest on the show today, and I'm 100% sure you're going to love her voice. She's a great emotive vocalist with a huge range and a certain way about her, and she has the performance chops of someone who's been in the business for a long time, yet she's still so very young. Future Palace has just released a new album, Run, which according to the band explores the aftermath of a toxic relationship in a stunning and vulnerable way. I'd have to agree. The songs are full of life, bursting with catchy melodies that overcome the bitterness behind the words. What comes now for this exciting trio? Well, you'll have to listen to the show all the way through to find out. So let's get to the meat of it, shall we? This is Maria Lessing of Germany's Future Palace, and this is Rockstar Superhero.
So much to pay.
I love your band, and I admit I'm a recent discovery, I think is the word, of your music, but it's fantastic. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's just jump right in. Everybody in Europe speaks multiple languages, so I have to thank you for speaking English for me today.
Thanks.
So awesome.
Easy. Yeah, we learned it since third grade, and I have family in America, so they were raised in America. So for me, it's really totally fine to speak English.
Wow, cool. Well, so who introduced you? Let me ask a cheesy question. Who introduced you to the language of music? How did that start for you?
You mean of making music or listening to the genre? Okay.
Anything, honestly. It could be just, how did music form you? You know, how did you end up on a stage? How did you end up that you and I are talking today?
Good question. I think many different people, many different aspects in life led to this moment now. Not only one thing. But I already had a lot of contact with music in my families. My mother used to sing back then, never for a living or anything, but she had a big passion for music and sang a lot. And we had guitars at home and keyboards, and I was able to use these instruments already at a young age. And around when I was 11, 12, I decided that I really want to make music. Like, I wrote my first songs about that age.
Wow.
At about that age. And I listened a lot to Avril Lavigne back then and Linkin Park. I don't remember what year it was, but I'm now 25, so it's not that long ago.
Sure.
So
Sure.
But that's because that's the reason for the influences, because that was permanent and relevant in the media back then. Like on MTV and Viva, you would hear Avril Lavigne and Linkin Park, and I fell in love with them. And that was my first contact with heavier music, and that's not even heavy. Sure. And I already noticed back then that I was a little different, and I like to already color my hair and dress a little more different than other people in my class. And that just got bigger and bigger. And then in high school, I had a different style than others and met a few new friends, got more into this emo music back then, and My Chemical Romance, Panic at the Disco, Paramore, all of that. Yeah, all that good stuff. And then I joined a band in school back then, just a school band, and met a few people that listened to the same music as I did and made music. And we did our first band and all of that. So there were many, many different people and life chapters that led to this moment today. But I always just really did what I wanted to. And even though I even also received a bit of hate for that because you're different, I still kept going and had my friends who were different as well. And I'm really, really happy and proud that I never changed for somebody else and just kept being the weird alternative person in school. And just kept going, doing what I like. And
I love it.
Pretty
I
much.
love it. Isn't it interesting that the people who do the most good for the world, people like yourself who are entertaining so many people, they're the ones that are picked on for a really long time until the audience kind of says, "Oh, wait a minute, she's doing something special."
Yes, that is really sad. Most of my friends even suffer from depression and many things and have been bullied and so on and so on. And I think those are the most beautiful people mostly. And it is so sad to see and hear what happened to most of these people, also me. And you should never let yourself down by these people. Never get yourself down because in the end, it will be worth it mostly.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see that people treat you differently when they see you have success in something or are really good at something. Because back then I was doing my YouTube channel called It's Pandacore. I was uploading videos where I was dyeing my hair, and I was able to get a lot of subscribers after time, and that really helped me get through this bullying thing, because some people liked what I did. People were actually inspired by me dyeing my hair, and I was like, yeah, there is a community for this. I'm not alone. And as soon as they noticed that I got more subscribers and an audience, and that I was also singing, they were getting nicer to me. Weirdly, they stopped the bullying, and that was kind of weird, that switch, because they saw, oh, maybe we could have some advantage of her, being friends with her. And that was kind of weird to see.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's so interesting. People say, they don't necessarily like what you're doing because it's different than who they are. It kind of reminds people, and this sounds a little sociopathic, but it kind of reminds people that they aren't necessarily as talented as you, for example, or they're necessarily, they're not so forward thinking. Right.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when they see you on that stage, or they see you for, maybe on YouTube or on television, they say, I always knew Maria would make it.
Yes. Some people were like, yeah, we always knew you sang well, and we could tell. But yeah, it took a while. They're different type of people. And I think most people are comfortable with not being visible, with just blending in with the crowd, with just never sticking out, because that means safety in a group. I mean, it makes sense also in nature. It's safe when you just blend in with the rest of the group. And pointing out yourself or being visible is always scary. And you have to prove people that it's not scary sometimes, and show them, look, I am putting some spotlight on myself, not even because I wanted the attention, not at all. But I think that's what most people are scared of. And then they might at some point have a different opinion on you, first of being the weird one, then to suddenly being this somewhat special one, or someone who tried to do something different that not anybody would do,
Yeah.
Because it's kind of scary. You have many faces on you.
It is. What's also interesting about being a creative person, and I use that word broadly because I'm into artistry of all kinds, right? Not just musical artistry, but, painting and photography and that sort of thing. And I found that every artist to a T has a little bit of crazy to them. And so right. And so what happens is people on the outside of that, they see it and they think, oh, there's they label us weird or odd. But the reality, Maria, people like us, we can't help it. We have to pursue it because that crazy in us makes us go after the thing. You're going after the music business because it's been born into you.
And that is a nice thing to hear. Yeah, I think that's true actually, because it is almost impossible for me to fit into a different job, or I tried to force myself into different things because I had to earn money and still have to. But I was always way too creative to stand still or sit still in a class that I'm not interested in. Still made it happen and stuff like that, did a degree and stuff, but I always knew what I wanted pretty clearly, but I didn't know how I was ever gonna get there because nobody told me, and everybody just told me the opposite. Do something that's safe, that is scary, not music, Everyone would try to tell it out of me, or be like, try to do it academic way, maybe become a teacher. And I know you have to be crazy. You have to be a little crazy to pursue such a career, I think. But to me, I am more scared of people that do not what they want. I'm more scared of people that just don't listen to themselves. And maybe I think it's not crazy. Maybe it's just being healthy. I don't know. Maybe,
Well, yeah, maybe
it's a mix of both.
I think it's hard. It's hard. Look, here's the reality. It's so hard to be a person, just a human being.
Yeah, that's right.
Because, the effects of your family and the effects of culture and the effects of celebrity, because even you in the ground stages, the beginning stages of a musical career, if there's even going to be a career, is you are seen at this moment as a celebrity of some sort. To somebody, they say, that's that girl on the stage who kills us with her voice, right? But you have an exceptional voice, and people see that and they are overwhelmed by it. It goes back to why they say, like, I always knew Maria would make it, because it reminds them that you are different, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's pretty nice to hear. I mean, I didn't have anyone saying that right to my face yet, but most people I spend with the last years are really close and good friends, and they always really believed in what I did and always supported me. So I have really nice people around me, and it's so nice to hear that they're proud of me, that they're really saying, and they mean it when they say, I knew you would.
Yes.
What means make it? I don't think we made it yet, but we are on our way to make something.
Yes.
And they see it and they trust in it. And that is so nice to have a few people that really trust and believe in you, because you can really lose that trust in yourself sometimes. And I did a lot, but I still try to keep going. And I'm really, really looking forward to now be releasing this new album, to see how people react, and to finally do what I want to do and show some songs that I wanted to write for years. And I'm just excited that it led to this moment now. Yeah.
Success begets success. I don't know if you know what this means, but basically the idea that if you keep doing something, eventually you find some success, and keeping going continues that success. You can't help but be successful because you've started the rock rolling. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it, because that's what it is. We don't even notice sometimes what happens or like what we achieve, because we're just going and doing the next step and doing the next thing. And I think this is how it's going to be for the next years. I don't know for how long, but I didn't know that it's like that, because I always pictured it like like levels or something.
Right.
When you see your achievement and you're like, yes, we did that, we're done. But that's never how it is so far. We're always keep going. And while we're going, we see like a few achievements. We're like, cool. And then we keep going. That's how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. But I encourage you, just as I would anybody, that if you can, I mean, you're a much younger person than me, right? You're 25, as you mentioned a moment ago. And to be able to slow down and appreciate every moment, because I will tell you, Maria, I'm a former professional musician as well. And so I know I sound like an idiot, but I'm
no,
but I'm actually, but I'm a former drummer. I still play drums, but not professionally. But that being said, it's wow, I lost my train of thought. Oh my gosh. I feel like a moron right now. I'm so glad this is not live, but everybody's going to hear this anyway, because I'm going to leave it in the show. Oh my God. Okay, now I'm officially embarrassed.
It's okay. You wanted to tell me that I need to soak in these moments, right?
Yeah.
Achievements.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saving my bacon on that. Yes, it really is about the moment, because you will never be satisfied. I think that's the problem. In a sense, the beauty of being an artist is that we get to do something not everybody does, and it comes to us naturally. But we never soak in the moment, because we're always looking for the next tier, the next level, the next battle, the next fight. and I would encourage you to just enjoy every section, even bad shows or even shows where there is 20 people standing in an audience, because it's an opportunity to grow and to develop and to be grateful for the big shows that come down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think I already did that a lot, because first of all, COVID was happening these past years.
Yeah.
So we were beyond thankful to just be able to play shows, and that was our first experience ever meeting fans. I didn't even know we had fans. It was so fictional. I said that in every interview so far, but it is still surreal to me. It still doesn't seem real. It is crazy. I will still not believe it the next time, or I will be surprised the next time I'm on stage again that people know us. Mm-hmm. After so many shows now already, it still didn't reach my brain, and it will take a while until I will understand that there are actually people liking us, because it seems like something I was wishing for and working for so many years, and it was always a dream, and suddenly a part of this dream became reality, and it is crazy. It's just doesn't seem real, honestly. And even if it's like 20 people, 5 people, it is always like it shows me that I'm doing something right, and that is such a nice feeling.
You are. Yeah. I love the fact that you're a trio as well, because there's less to be distracted by on stage. It allows the musicality and the individuality to stand out, and I think that's really cool.
Oh, nice. Thanks. That's good to hear, because most people will always ask us, where's your bass player? Where's the bass player? A lot of people ask this. Every show we get this question. And it's nice to hear something positive about it once, because that is true. I think it gives us the room for each person to shine on their own, or be their own person, and have the focus on the main energy things of the song. I mean, the bass of the songs, the bass is really prominent in our songs. We like bass, we like the sound, and it's not that we don't like the instrument at all, but that's how we are right now. That's who we are, and we just present ourselves authentically, and maybe later on we will have somebody play the bass live if it fits, but so far it felt really nice live. I don't think anything was missing on stage, and we just enjoyed having the space, especially on smaller stages. It's really, really fortunate to have space.
It's so true. And I think, nowadays we've been trained a bit as listeners that music doesn't have to look, in a sense, like a traditional band, right? Bands like Nine Inch Nails years ago, of course, when it was just Trent Reznor, just one person, and then bringing session musicians on tour, but still picking and choosing what he wanted to cover. That's so cool. And then the White Stripes, you name any sort of popular band that has done it differently. We've kind of gotten numb to it as listeners. And I think, I look at it this way. Live music isn't about the sound so much as it is about the visuals anyway. I'm there to see a band, and I like that you're right in the center, that that you stand out very much against the two other members of the band, that they're both men as well, and I don't look at you as a female singer. I just look at you as a singer. You know what I mean?
That's nice to hear. Yeah.
But I imagine that has to be an odd sort of thing to deal with, because you're always asked the same stupid questions about being a girl in a boy band.
Actually, so far I haven't received any negative feedback with that. There was no sexist comment ever, because I think
until just now.
No, there were questions if there are any if anything happened. So people asked me in the interviews already if anything happened that was sexist or something.
Sure.
But so far I feel like people get to know us this way. They like us this way, and they don't ask any further questions. That is pretty nice. They respect us in a way, I think, or me enough to never question that. And I wouldn't say that it's because of me. I think a lot of women, great, amazing women, did that work for me beforehand. And it's a big thank you from my side, because so far that might happen differently. I was able to just be safe on stage, have nothing weird happening so far. But yeah, I heard a lot of stories back then of, I think Hayley Williams had a few stories, and I think even Courtney from Spirit Box, I watched an interview, and I think she even had someone touching her on stage, and she was like, stop that. And they already had to live through so many different things, and really shout out that this is a barrier that they cannot cross. That you have to respect somebody who's on stage, no matter what gender they are or identify as. And yeah, that's exactly how it is. And it's nice to see. I like when people see me more neutral and don't say you're good for a female, for a female in this genre, because I want to be just as good as any other person having a microphone in their hand.
Right.
And
or talking about your looks, right? Or talking about your looks in the sense of saying, oh, well, the reason you're successful is because you're pretty or something like that, right?
So far, I also haven't actually.
You haven't heard that?
No, luckily not. I think we're all. I think the boys are also really pretty, actually.
Oh yeah, no, I mean the band is beautiful. The whole band is beautiful. So again, it's not for me. I mean, I just say that.
No,
I think about those sorts of things happen. You know, I don't know if you know who Suzi Quatro is, but. You know, Suzi was the first sort of female rock star that happened in the late 60s, early 70s. A true rock and roll, old school, you know, plays bass, funny, plays bass, but just rocks from the stage. She was on TV. She influenced everybody from the Runaways to, you know, Joan Jett, Pat Benatar, Lita Ford, all these 70s and 80s women rock stars, if you will. And what I love about her is because she was always so bold and relentless, but she dealt with all the stuff you're talking about. In fact, she even went on, I want to say, it was something on BBC. And when she walked out on stage, when they introduced her, one of the guys actually had her stand up. This is true. You can look at this on YouTube. Had her stand up, smacked her on the butt for real. She turned, you know, he had her turn around, Maria, smacks her on the butt and says, well, you're famous for that, aren't you?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I would freak out. Yeah.
And it's insane. So for anybody listening, go watch the Suzi Q documentary. But this is a woman who had to deal with it all. So yes, you are correct that fortunately for you, you're able to be, for the most part, an entertainer. You don't have to overcome all the stigmas that are associated with being a girl on stage.
I mean, that's a beautiful sign that something changed these last years. I think a lot of women in the scene had to go through so much and fight through it. And that's why I'm thankful for it, because that shows that being resistant and strong will make a change at some point.
Yes.
I think also Doro, if I don't say that wrong, I watched a documentary about her. And I also heard a story of her in the Nightliner when somebody touched her. And I think she said she just slapped him or something. And she was like, I don't know, what should you do in that moment? It's crazy to hear these stories, but they set the boundaries for women like us. They set boundaries and said, no, we can be treated equally. And I think I'm lucky because I just started being on stage with this band, and like 2020 was the first time.
Right.
So that is really pretty recent. And I think the mindset also changed a lot again after the pandemic, because we were a little more focused on problems of the world, I think, on the internet, and I've thought more about ourselves. But I'm pretty sure I will still will go through situations similar to what she just had to live through, and I will totally stand up for myself and not accept that. And I'm really glad that there are so many more women out there, or whatever you identify as, that are having a voice, being on stage and showing themselves, presenting themselves fearless. And that's how it's supposed to be. Everybody should be allowed to have a stage, to have a voice, And I hope it will even improve more and more, and also in every country and so on. There are still some countries that I could probably not play at or be on stage the way I do. And that is still a big topic. But so far, in our little bubble, everything was pretty okay from what we experienced, luckily.
Yeah. I mean, I'm much older than you. I'm 55 years old, and I think, people my age, they're the ones that you have to overcome still. There's a tremendous amount of I don't even know what the word would be. I don't want to say we're ignorant, but we're just old enough. My generation is just old enough to be sort of set in the ways and to say, well, you're going to have to deal with me. This is the way it is. Where the thing that I've discovered, especially as I've been around the entertainment business for the last 30 years, is no, you don't. What you do is you learn from your mistakes. You learn from saying the wrong things. You learn not to do those things again. And yes, you might put your foot in your mouth over and over again, and you might be a fool, but eventually people like us, we die. It's so true. We die. And then that next generation, hopefully I've raised my children up to not think, in a sense, the way I was sort of unintentionally trained by my culture, right? Yeah,
absolutely. So, every generation has a different spirit and morality, I would even say.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you can always still, there should be the wish to improve as a person, I think, no matter what age you are. I know it's harder the older the generations are because it's already set in your mind, but you should always be open, and life is a learning process. And it might change every 10 years that something is completely different than when you were raised. Yeah. And you have to stay open for that, because that's the world we're living in. And we have to, we should never stop discussing, because that's when we have a gap between us, when we're not society anymore. Yeah. So there should always be confronting each other and discussing.
Yep. I mean, news outlets will say lies discovered, they breed in the dark. You know what I mean? And I think it's so important to put light on things, and not to embarrass people, to say that, your perspective is wrong. But most of the time it is outdated, and not to say that, younger generation has it better, or they've got it down better, or they understand more. No, it's just saying that we are changing. I mean, I'm glad we have indoor plumbing. Right? I mean, if people say like, "Oh man, I wish we could have grown up in a castle." No, you don't. No, you don't. You would have hated it. It was cold and smelly.
Yes. We romanticize it. Absolutely. Yeah. And people romanticize the past and nostalgic things, but change can be an improvement. Of course, there's some negatives, but we should take the improvement and enjoy it. Yeah. That we have. Yeah. Same with society.
Yeah. Well, so, you mentioned that you're excited and a little even blown away that you have fans. So as you continue to develop as a singer and a songwriter and an entertainer, what have you discovered about yourself? What's new about Maria nowadays?
A lot, I think. I became a lot more confident with myself, I would say. I was working on that for years. Honestly, I used to be, when I was a kid, I was crazy shy. I wouldn't even I don't think I'm like a mixture of extroverted and introverted. I'm like right in between. It's like, if that even exists, if people even believe in that.
I think it does.
But yeah, and I think I'm like, I have a personality type that should be extroverted, but I think I'm right in between. So I can fake my way. Like, either I'm introverted today or I'm extroverted. And on stage, I cannot be introverted. And that is really interesting, because I'm not really someone who likes to have a lot of attention. And usually I'm not like that, or a really, really loud person. But it's still a different kind of thing, because it's my songs, and I really love sharing these songs with people. And I became more and more confident and comfortable on stage with each show, and I think I even improved with each show. And I would say I am now even a better entertainer than I was a few weeks ago, and that is really nice, because I wasn't able to learn these last years because of the pandemic. And now I was actually really impressed that I was not that shy. The first shows I was pretty excited, and I was like, whoa, people watching us. But now the last shows, I wasn't scared at all. It was really nice. It's such a nice feeling. I was just excited to go on stage and have a fun time.
Yeah.
And that improved more and more. And that is really, really nice to feel, because there has been many, many years where I didn't feel like that. And I had to work to be more confident. And now I think I'm the most confident person or version of myself I've ever been.
Right.
And I'm really excited what's going to happen with more shows happening and how I'm going to change as an artist. I want to go even bigger and crazier and do more artistic shows, have more crazy things on stage. But so far, it's really nice to see that I improve and that I can see it. And I hope, that people enjoy the shows.
Yeah. I don't think you have to be fearless to be on stage. You just have to be willing to kind of almost like play a character, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you find yourself doing that?
Yeah, kind of. It's hard to tell. I was playing a character in the beginning because I wasn't feeling confident with speaking out to so many people. I think my speeches were really awkward in between the songs in the first shows. And the more I did it, the more I was able to be myself because I got used to it. And I think now I'm really starting to becoming myself on stage and getting used to being this Maria that talks to 200, 300, 400 people. And sometimes I was like, what I'm saying is not important enough for me to be listened to. And that is a mindset that I need to change, or I'm starting to change and take my time to talk in front of 400, how many people in front of me, and say, this is my moment, this is my message, and they're here to listen right now.
Yes.
And that is something that's even changing my personality, because you have to see that what you say is important at this moment. And I'm starting to believe myself more and more. And it's kind of therapeutic for myself because it shows me that what I went through, and I'm talking about personal experiences on stage and the song lyrics, that it is something to talk about, to listen to.
Yeah.
And that is really nice. And now I'm starting to be less of a character that I want to be. I'm starting to really be this version of myself that I want to be. And that is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I love that you're saying this. There's definitely obviously there's a million different ways to be a performer, but it seems to me, as an outsider to your work and from my own past experiences, that there were sort of two archetypes of singers. They were the person that had to tell every truth on stage all the time, right? That was very sort of brutal and honest and willing to sort of die for their craft. And then there was that David Bowie sort of, right? The character that wasn't ever David on stage. That was an amalgam of a space alien and a cool fashion guy, if that makes sense. And he played that character every time. But when he was off stage, he was really actually David Jones. He wasn't even David Bowie. He was just a human being. And I find it incredibly fascinating. I guess what I really enjoy about you, and I've watched a few of the live performances as well, is you do look comfortable. So even if you don't think you're doing it right, so to speak, I feel as an outsider, I think you're doing a great job in representing the band well.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just really now, the past shows, or maybe even the shows that are online, I just started to be more and more comfortable. So, but I am, I think I am the first option you just said. I think I'm not always brutally honest. That is still, you can't say everything on stage.
Sure.
But
most things.
I am, most things. But I'm trying to be authentic. I try to be relatable, and that's what I love about artists, when it's relatable. It's not a artsy show, which is also amazing, like David Bowie, as you just mentioned. But I want to be real, and I feel the music. I feel it. I'm just authentically myself, and maybe a little more hyped and stuff like that, but still it is real. And it's nice because I think inside of me I was always this more extroverted version also, but maybe I was not confident enough to be this version of myself. So I'm kind of I don't know how you can say, I'm growing into this role more and more. And that is nice because it feels good, it feels confident, it feels being safe. I don't know. It's a different.
It's honest.
I think it's more myself even, I think, than because I had like when I was playing in Berlin, which is our hometown show, and our first ever Berlin show with our headline tour was in April. And I had my sisters coming there and a friend of her. And they knew me since I was really young. Like, I don't know, the friends knew me when I was like 11 or something. And they were absolutely shocked in a positive way. They were like, we never, ever expected you to go on stage and perform like this. Never, ever. You were so quiet and you looked so confident and everything. And you were like an entire different person. And I was like, wow, that is crazy to hear. That is really crazy to hear. But that shows how much I changed over these years and who I really want to be. And that is so cool that you can get there if you work on it.
Yeah. And on top of that, so here's what's so cool about this, Maria, is people know, I don't know what it is about the human experience, but we all know when somebody's not telling us the truth. We just know.
Yes.
Right. And so when you come out on stage, even if you're not being brutally honest, whatever that means, right? Like, you look like an idiot because you're wearing a red shirt. But I mean, right. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that people, they respect it and they don't even know why, because you come out and you're just you, and the band is just Future Palace, and you just sing, and that penetrates them, and that honesty comes through your lyrics and the way you emote and your eye contact with the individuals who are there to watch you, and they believe it, and because they believe it, it becomes real to them, and that reality is why you're successful.
Oh, thank you. That is really nice to hear. Thanks. Yeah, because that is important to me. But that's what I like about music. And that's what I like about going to shows. I always hope they are the way they present on stage. Because you don't feel lonely that way. It's so important to me to just be honest, be a real person and show people have flaws, but you can still write songs. You can still be on stage and empower other people. And that is really, really nice to hear, actually. Yeah, I hope that it will always stay this way. And I think I can't even be different. I can't put on a role. It just feels wrong to me. Yeah. Not judging anybody who does. It just feels different to me. It just doesn't. That's just how it's supposed to be this way. And I hope I will have many people who can connect with it. There might be some people who don't like it always, that are too personally touched by it or something. But yeah, exactly.
Life. I mean, look, if the best case scenario, right? We all know that if you do anything enough times, it becomes a 50-50 thing. And that means, like, if you do enough things, let's say you go on stage and you sing exactly the same way every time for the next 20 years, okay? Nothing about you changes. The fan base is only going to be the fan base that likes what you're doing. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't matter if you're not what somebody else wants. You're never, ever going to win over everybody. You're never going to win over half of them. So if you get that 10%, then they come back and they're yours and they never leave because Maria is telling the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's nice. I hope that will happen.
It will.
But I think we're on the right track already, and it just feels right. It's not only doing music and doing what I want to do in life. It's also like a kind of mission with all the stories we're telling, and we already connected with so many people that were already so thankful with what I share, that it all makes sense already with just what it is now. It is already making so much sense. Even still, I'm still not processing it, as I mentioned, but I know in my brain, it makes a change for some people writing these songs. It already made a change for maybe a handful of people. And that is so, I don't know, such a big value, such amazing, feedback. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Let's talk about the new album. It's called Run, correct?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Comes out on the 10th, which is what? Today's the 6th, so we got 4 days.
Mm-hmm. Excited.
Yes. So I'm very
Finally.
excited for you to release this record. I'm sure the fan buzz is starting to jam. I mean, obviously you're talking to me and I'm going to change your life. So yeah, there it is. I've just put it out there right now. What do you hope the record achieves for the band? I mean, obviously, it's going to create some buzz, some energy, some good things, right? And there's a lot of great pieces on it. But kind of what do you hope it says to the audience, and what does the name of the album mean?
So first of all, what I hope is, I think Run already before being released did so much for us. All these new singles put us to another level, honestly, already. And we were not planning or expecting this. We were hoping, but it already did so much with Paradise being released. And then with each single, more and more happens. And if that keeps on happening with Run now being released, I can really see us maybe on the next level, which is so nice because it's just our second album. And if that happens, we're just really happy and proud if that happens. And hopefully that might go in that direction. And you ask what Run means. Run is just the after story of our first album, Escape.
Okay.
And it just makes sense that when
follow-up.
you look at both titles, exactly, it's just a follow-up. I'm not sure if we're gonna continue doing this with every album now.
The next one is called Chased or Caught or something like that.
Yes. Or I said chill or something, or like
There
relax or something.
I like
Next one is just, I don't know, cooking pasta or something. That's what the next one's gonna be called.
So
No,
how
but-
go ahead. Please go on. Go on.
Yeah. But Run is just, I mentioned earlier, it's like not earlier here, but in other interviews I said it's like a diary. That's what I would call it. It is the aftermath of toxic relationships, of a toxic past, and it is a lot about confronting yourself, with your own mental well-being, how you actually feel, looking more how you feel, because with Escape, the most of the focus was on leaving. I need to get out of these relationships or whatever I'm in, and situations. And Run is more about, how do I feel after all of this? What did this do to me? This is why the album cover also looks the way it does, because you just escaped, you're full of these bruises and scratches, and you start to finally see, it's almost like an extreme example, but sometimes when you're in war and you get out of war, there's this not traumatic, but post-traumatic effect
Stress.
or depression.
Yeah.
That happens. You just notice how you feel. In the war itself, you will never notice because you're in the survival mode. And then maybe right after you will notice, oh my God, I actually lost my arm and I didn't even really notice. I mean, It hurt probably, but you will see all your wounds afterwards, and you will have the depression mostly afterwards. That's a lot of the stories where like ex-soldiers took their lives afterwards because they couldn't carry what they were going through. And this is an extreme example, but it is kind of similar, I think, to how it feels. Because when and I grew up in a toxic environment, you get used to it. You're in survival mode, maybe less extreme, but you don't understand what's happening to you. You keep, I was functioning and working, and I had no time to see how I feel or feel how I feel. And I moved out when I was like 18, and then I went through a really extreme shitty relationship. And when I was about 19, 20, that was my first time ever experiencing peace. And that's when I wrote most of these songs. That's when I felt all of that. I got depression. I never had depression before or felt that. And I finally had time to feel what I went through. And this is exactly what Run is about. There was songs like Defeating Gravity, with lines. Thank you.
Oh, so good.
But there's this one line. It is cheesy and not maybe that, I don't know, unique, but it says, "I fought gravity for as long as I can think," and that is exactly what it is. I fought through so much for as long as I can think, and that is absolutely 100% true, and not like exaggerated or anything. And that is what Run is about: reflecting on what you've went through, seeing how you feel, looking at your wounds and feeling it, being angry, being sad. And then in the end of the album, being hopeful still and being excited for the future because you now know, oh my God, you now know, there we go, that you're free, you escaped, you run, and now the next chapter can start because you left the toxic bullshit.
Yeah. You know what, Maria? So I like you so much. You're just so genuine, and it's so funny. Oh, you're welcome. Well, I mean, look. Here's the thing. You said this. I've mentioned this twice now. You're 25. You're a young lady, and as
what
you
an
started,
old soul. No, I'm kidding.
well, yeah, sure. There you go. But you mentioned your experiences, and you mentioned the songs and writing about broken relationships, and then sort of escape, overcoming the grief that's associated with them. And when you started talking, my brain, the first thing I started thinking was, well, she's 25. How much could she have experienced? And I'm not picking, of course.
Yeah.
But as you spoke, I was like, oh my gosh. So this is a young woman who has clearly experienced a tremendous amount at a very young age, and is quite prepared to express this, and is qualified to do so. So I guess I should say thank you for telling me that story without me asking such a dumb question. but I do love this transparency. And again, I think that is why people are sort of falling in love with your personal vision, because they recognize you're telling the truth in your songs, and you're not just emoting for the sake of some cool visual cue. You're actually, you're sincere. You mean what you're saying.
Exactly. And I don't only, I noticed that, or I'm well aware that I'm not the only person who went through things like this, and or like growing up, with a mentally ill mother, and abusive and domestic violence, all of that stuff. I'm not alone with that. Oh, it's it happened. It is. I'm happy that I'm here and that everything is fine now, and I'm in peace now, and that I was strong enough to go through this. But I'm not alone, and there are people who are maybe not as strong, or have less people that help them, and most people are too scared to talk about that, and I know that because I was too scared to talk about that, and I am an open person. I am really strong, and if I already suffered so much, I can't even imagine how many other people are in silence and just suffering from stories like this. And it's nice, or like it's a good thing for me to create things that help others, or I hope they help others, and maybe help them speak out, or just showing them that it is possible to get a normal life again, no matter what they went through. Yes. I mean, of course, there are people who probably have it even worse, and I don't want to say music can heal anything or everything. You still have to go to therapy and so on. But I think this might already make a change for some people when they're alone listening to these songs. And I really hope that this can help somebody. And because I needed that back then, and I'm just doing what I wanted to hear back then. Of course, not only, it's also like aesthetic and also sounding nice, but still, that is such a good feeling to do both. Something you love doing, but also that's meaningful to you. And it's,
I'm so glad you said these things out loud. It's so important for people to know that they're not alone. And there can never be, and I mean, so I encourage you, Maria, stay on this path, because there can never be enough people talking about the ills of life. There can never be, because there aren't enough. And for every person like yourself who's willing to walk onto stage and express what you've overcome, and express the parts of you that still maybe hurt a bit from your past, that one-on-one, or that you with 40 or 400 people in the room, you're one, but they need 40 of you, right? In other words, you can only feed so many people before they're lost still, and they need us. So keep that truth.
Yes.
Keep that truth.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I will. At the beginning, I wasn't even sure if that's a right thing to do. I was talking to a drummer, and he asked more about the song stories, because I was not openly talking about it with the band. that was my private thing. That's how I was surviving all of this. I was making songs out of it to get the emotion somewhere. And then he kind of poked in. He was like, what is this actually about? Because you never told us. And then when I told him, he's like, let's give this a stage. Let's use this. Let's talk about this openly. And I was like, really? Because I never put myself in an important position. I was like, my problems, there's so many people who have it worse than I do. Why should I complain? Why should I be talking about my problems? But then when he said all of this, we started to make it happen. We started to speak out of this. Yeah, speak these stories out on stage. And I think it was the best thing he did. He pushed me with this and in a good way. And yeah, as you said, I think it is important to talk about these things, not because I want to be pitied or something, not at all, just to show people that this can be normality, that this is normality, that is daily life. Yeah. And we need to be, have more empathy or sympathy for each other and help each other out more and not always act like everything is perfect, especially on stage where most people want to hide from their problems mostly and be perfect and the strong person. But yeah, I think that is true. And I'm still learning that. It still feels weird to me sometimes to speak out the story because it feels like I want to be pitied, but that's not true. And I don't want to make a scene out of it. I just really want to connect with people with this and show the emotion, share the emotions. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Please. I mean, if I could say one thing, if I could leave any one thing with you, it's please don't ever feel bad about telling your story, because it's not like you're making every interview and every song about you. You're not making it about your past. You're not saying, hey, Rob, glad to be on your show. I can't wait to talk to you about all the abuses and all these things, right? And then just sticking with that, because then it does become a pity party and it becomes even narcissistic. And then you're representing the worst parts of what you've grown up with versus overcoming it. So I applaud you for being open to discussing it, at the same time knowing that you're better than your past. And I don't mean better than people, of course, but better than the negativity that's occurred, because you haven't allowed it to overwhelm you. And that's a big deal, because most people I know who have, sort of self-destructive tendencies come from, people who have extremely self-destructive tendencies, and yes, they're doing better than their parents or their brother or sister, but they're still walking out that family curse. You know what I mean? So good for you.
Thanks. Yeah, that is good to hear. And that's always the balance I want to keep. And I'm not only alone in this band, I'm not a solo artist. And there are also songs that are stories of, or like partly stories of Manuel and that he was trying to put into a song. And we try to mix both of our lives or make the song relatable to anybody. And for example, songs like Wounds are songs, or Dead Inside are songs that were written from an emotion of Manuel or experience he had. He told me about it. I knew where he was with his mindset and his emotions. And I took my personal story and we kind of did a mix out of it. So it's not only mine, it is, I also completely respect when the boys want to give stage for their stories, or maybe don't want to openly share it, but have like some parts of it in there. And then I kind of objectified the song so that you cannot tell at the first time listening to it what it's 100% about, because it's about two topics at once. And mostly, for example, he had issues with girls back then. He's now in a relationship, luckily and happily. But back then he had like a few conflicts with dating. And I was having conflicts with depression. And then I tried to phrase the song in a way that you can relate in both ways. Either you're in a heartbreak situation or you have a conflict with yourself. And that's what I tried to do with these kind of songs, so that you can relate to them no matter what you're going through.
Yeah.
And I hope that worked, but yeah.
What you're telling us is you've created amalgam of ideas, you've created characters, you've created plot lines, but you've made it a movie in a sense, right? A sonic movie that speaks to everybody. Because when you get down to it, haven't all of us had bits and pieces of, sad moments in our life? And I'm not saying just like, a little bit down, but truly struggling, truly down, and haven't we also had problems with relationships because people are hard. I mean, it's hard to be a human, let alone to be in a relationship with a human and expecting love from them or to give them love when they're unlovable. Life is hard, man.
Yes, it is. Exactly. And this album is just honest and I think relatable in most songs because it has many different topics and it doesn't only have sadness in it and anger, it also has happiness and hopefulness, as I was saying. For example, the song Fever, which is the final song, which was important to me to put as a final song because I wanted the listeners to leave with a good feeling afterwards. Good. I wanted them to have the song, and the song is all about being absolutely freaking excited for your amazing future. And this is the message you're supposed to get after this album. You see what you went through, but in the end, that's what you're gonna feel, or I hope you will feel that. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so then to end on a good note, let's end on a good note, a big note. What's a favorite memory from the past, and what's one experience that you look forward to enjoying since you mentioned that song?
You mean from the past of the album, or like writing, or just
it's whatever you want, just like a favorite memory. It could be a childhood memory, it could be a band memory. And then just, what you're looking forward to in the future, what an experience that you hope occurs in your life.
Okay, so the first one is kind of tricky. I never thought about that question. It's kind of crazy. Good. I think I'm just going to pick one thing. I had a band back then, my first real band. I'm not going to say the name because I don't want people to search the demos.
Do not listen to this.
Yeah, really. But we had our first ever gig in my high school back then, or our high school. And that was the first time I ever played with my own band, ever performed my first song. It was called Behind the Silhouette. And that was when I was actually feeling this is going to be something. I don't know what it was, but I noticed I created the song. I have people who play the song with me. This feels absolutely right. And we had people listening to us. It was like a weird school party, whatever. But this moment was giving me hope. And I was in a really, really, really bad time. And this moment gave me so much power and showed me where I want to be in life. And I think the next thing would be, I'm still hoping to play bigger shows. And I really hope to stay with the two guys I'm with right now, with Johannes and Manuel. I really hope we will always try to make this work and nothing weird happens. And I think we're already good at that. And I hope I will be with them on a bigger stage. I don't know what, but we are already on bigger stages in the summer. It's full force. It is already happening. I don't even know how this is going to be for me, but already this, and maybe supporting a band that I was a big fan of, or maybe something like that would be amazing. And playing maybe in the US, that would also be a huge, huge goal of me. And anything actually that is going to that's going to be bigger or going to get bigger. I'm going to enjoy every step of growth. And that was my goal, my life goal. And it is, nothing feels more powerful and amazing than reaching your goals that you really wanted since you're 12. Honestly, it feels like I'm flying or something. It is, that's how it feels, and that's why I'm really grateful for anything that happens. And I hope we will together be able to reach more and more, not even because of the success, but just to see what you're able to do with your own power. That is such a nice feeling.